Okay, let's go to section 1.4, basic terms. Full screen. Okay, so the basic terms they're going to describe here are the element or member of a sample or a population, a variable, an observation, and a data set. So let's take a look at these. And at the same time, let's look at the data sets. We saw that there are data sets included here. So let's take a look at that. And let's look at the Excel version 2007. I suppose these are all the same data, but they're formatted differently for different uses. If you have Excel 2003, 2007, if you have some Minitab or a software called SPSS for statistics. But let's look at this. So I'll download it. I think I already did download it, but I'll download it again. And I'll open it up. And here we have the city data. And here we have that. We reviewed some of this data, already. So here we have the urban area and state. So how many rows of data do we have? So the first row is just the header. So we start at 2 and we go down to 321. So obviously we have 320 rows of data. And we're going to use the word observation. We're going to say we have 320 observations. Okay? And then each column here, like here. Okay, let's take something that we know. Let's look at, maybe do they have New York? I don't know. Anyway, do they have New York? Let's see if they have my hometown. Okay, here is my hometown. So let's look at my hometown. Okay, so but we can't see the headers anymore. Maybe I can freeze that. I'll try and freeze that. I'll go to View and freeze top row. Yeah, freeze top row. Okay, let's see if that worked. Yeah, that worked. Okay. So now I'll bring it up to here so we can look at my hometown. So Philadelphia. So anyway, the price of a steak per pound, I think it was, is $9.87. The price of sausage is $4.24. The price of milk, a certain amount of milk, it's about 2 liters, is $1.87. The price of cheese is this, and so on. Okay? So we call this a variable. That is, T-bone steak is a variable, and it takes on different values depending on which city we're talking about. Right? Here it's one value. Here's just like x. When we talk about x, y, z in mathematics, we say x is a variable because it can take on different values. The price of T-bone steak is a variable. It can take on different values. The price of sausage is another variable. The price of milk is another. The price of cheese is another. The price of potatoes is another. The price of orange juice is another, and so on. These are all variables. So we call a row. What happened to Philadelphia? Where did it go? Nothing happened. Okay. So we call a row an observation, and we call a column a variable in this case, right? And we call the whole thing, all of this, a data set. Okay? And then they also have this word element, so let's check that also. Okay, so in this text, which not necessarily every text will say the same thing, but in this text they're making a slight distinction. I called a row an observation, but actually they're saying an element or a member is a row is actually called an element or a member. Let me make sure of that. Yeah, yeah, that's right. So, for example, an element or a member, it could be a city or a country, right? In our case, it's a city. It can be a person, and so on. So it's a row. And then they're calling an observation the value of a variable. So that's not so standard terminology. Oftentimes, the whole row is called an observation. But here, they're calling the whole row an element or a member. Okay, so we'll use their terminology here, but be aware that sometimes the word observation will be used for the whole row. But anyway, that's okay. Okay, so let's go back to here. And now here's another example. Charitable givings of 6 retailers in 2007. This means that retailers means stores gave some money for charities. And this is a table displaying that. So Home Depot is a store. Macy's is a store. Walmart, Best Buy, Targets. These are all stores in the U.S. And this is the amount in millions of dollars that Home Depot gave to charity. And this is the amount that Macy's gave, and this is the amount, and so on. Okay? So, an element or a member, I guess they're saying, is Walmart. And the observation, so it's a little different than even I just said. So they're saying just this part is the element or the member. So that's but okay, anyway, we won't worry about it too much, but they're saying just this part is the element or the member. And this is an observation about that element or member. Okay? All right. Usually, many times, here, they're called observational units. Maybe that's what I was saying, observational units. So they're saying, note that this element might also be called an observational unit. Okay, so anyway, we're talking about the rows represent the objects like Walmart, Macy's, Home Depot, and the variables are the columns. This actually, though, could be considered a variable. It's the name of the company. So it could also be considered a variable, but they're saying this is called an element or a member. All right, sorry if it's confusing, but it's basically simple and not too important. So let's just go through their definition. An element or a member of a sample or population. So it could be from a sample or from a population. We're still going to refer to these things as elements or members. Is a specific subject, object, or object. For example, the person, the firm, the item, the state. So here, it's the company. Okay. And then in our example, variable is charitable giving. So here, charitable giving is one of the is the only variable shown here. In the Excel file, we had many variables, and then they give other examples here. A variable is often denoted by X, Y, or Z, right? You know that. An observation or measurement is the value of the variable. So they're saying an observation or measurement is the value of the variable for an element. So in other words, going back to this one, this is an observation or measurement for this element or member for Walmart. Okay, and data set is a collection of observations on one or more variables. Okay? Okay, so here we have some exercises. Explain the meaning of element, variable, observation, and data set. The following table gives the number of dog bites reported to the police last year in 6 cities. So these are 6 cities. Here are the number of dog bites. Briefly explain the meaning of a member, variable, measurement, and data set with reference to this table. So these, according to their definition, these are the members, and this is a measurement, this is a measurement, this is a measurement, and the variable is number of bytes, I would also sometimes call this a variable. It's the name of the city, but here they're not doing that. Anything else? And the data set they're saying is this collection here. I would say the data set is the whole thing, but he's saying the data set is just this part here. Okay? You can do the same thing here. And you can answer these questions. What is the variable for this data set? How many observations are there in this data set? How many elements? So this is good. So you should go back and check this. Okay, I'll stop here.